Berta J, and you're back in my kitchen with me today to make another dessert using the gingerbread spice. This one is very Berta J. It's called apple upside down cake instead of pineapple. There's many bowls that you're going to need in order to mix the different pieces, but it's a fun recipe. If you hold on to the end, you'll see the delicious cake you're going to have, okay? Let's get started. First, pour 4 cups of chopped up apples, good cooking apples, like Cortland, Empire. I don't know if you like Macintosh, do those. And then in another little bowl, you'll need 3 tablespoons of sweetener. I used 2 tablespoons of maple syrup poured into the little bowl because you're going to mix all this together. I used a tablespoon of xylitol just because I like that flavor of the 2 of them together. Use whichever sweetener is best for you. Put in a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, goes in. A half a teaspoon of the gingerbread spice mix that we made. Get it all. Get every little drop. And then 1.5 teaspoons of flour. That's going to thicken it a little bit. And then what you're going to do is mix this all up. Mix it up until the flour and gets well incorporated. After you have no more flour showing, no little teeny buds of flour, you're going to take that liquid, and pour it over your apples. And then take that and just mix up your apples. Get it well coated. Put it into a pan because I learned this, and I've been doing it ever since I learned it. When you're dealing with apples and you want them to cook well, take 5 minutes before you actually, if it's going to be like a pie or something like this on the top, a cobbler, things like that. You put your apples with all your spices into your pan, and you're going to go to the stove. And what we're going to do is cook this for 5 minutes until as you know, there's a lot of juice in apples. And when that juice starts to release, then we're done. I'll show you the next step after that. And turn it on to a medium low. You don't want it high, boiling. And you want to stir ever so often, but basically you want to just stick around. You don't want to go anywhere. Bit of juice. That's some of the juice from what I poured on, but it's a lot more than it was because those juices have been released and they're trying to cook, and they're going to cook more after I get the cake on top. Okay, so we're all done here. You can taste the apple, a couple of them if you want, and with that taste you will see how it started to soften. Usually around the edges and the flat part of the apple, getting ready for what's going to happen to it when it starts to cook. It's already started. So now put it into your pan. I just want to make a comment on this pan. I'm getting nothing for it. I just thought of it. This Cuisinart pan has a surface that is nonstick, and it's amazing. This is a good pan. I don't need anything on it. I don't even need parchment paper. And so I'm going to dump it into this 9x9 pan. The reason I like it too is that it's made from stainless steel. Get every last apple that you chopped up, every last one of them. Put them in here. Don't leave anything in your pan. It looks like a lot of apple, but it'll cook down. That's the way apples are. Smooth it out. Get it in the corners. So now we're going to do the cake part. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to use 1.5 cups of whole wheat pastry or mix them together if you want to. White whole wheat flour, 1.5 cups. Put it in. Make sure you get it all out of there. And then I use that 1/4 cup of spelt flour. I use another 1/2 teaspoon of the gingerbread spice. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I had my family test these as I was making them. And my husband, my daughter said there's kind of like a lot of cinnamon. I love cinnamon. If you think a half a teaspoon is not, you're kind of on the low side of liking cinnamon, but you enjoy it okay, then use a little bit less. It's okay. All right? The last two ingredients are the leavening, which is 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda and 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay, now stir this all up well. You know my famous stir it up well and then make a little well in the middle. This is the last thing you have to mix up, I promise. Take your bowl that you had before and you're going to mix up all the liquids that are going to go into here. 3/4 cup of plant milk, whichever one you like. Oh, before you do that, what I also use, you can either use a measuring or use your measure on your cup and pour it to the 1 cup line, which means you're using 1/4 of a cup of water. Kind of thins out the milk. It helps the cake, that's what I found, helps the cake to rise better. So it's not as heavy. Pour that into the bowl. These are your liquids. And then you're gonna use, move my little cup over here, 1.5 teaspoons of white vinegar. And I know you're probably wondering about vinegar, right? Well, do you remember the volcanoes you did in elementary school for your science project? That's what's going to be happening. The vinegar plus the leavening, the baking soda, baking powder, is going to make it rise, make your cake rise and be lighter, okay? So you only need a teaspoon. I'm using just 1.5 teaspoons. And you won't taste the vinegar in your cake, okay? 1.5 teaspoons, same amount as the vinegar, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. The last ingredient you put in is 5 tablespoons of sweetener. I used 3 tablespoons of maple syrup and 2 of xylitol. In it goes. And stir this up. Use your whisk. And now, pour it into your little hole in the middle. Get it all. Get all that liquid goodness out of there. And what you're going to do, bring it down. Bring the dry into the wet. And you don't want to overbeat. Like, don't use a mixer with this. Just use a gentle stirring to incorporate the liquid into the dry. You may have a few lumps, but that's okay. So bring your apples back that you've leveled in your pan. And now you're going to just put this on. Right over the apples. Smooth it out even over the top of the apples into the corners. That's it. This goes into a preheated 350-degree oven for 30 to 35 minutes. Check on it around 30 to see if it's brown enough on the top for you. Okay, so it's done. I did one yesterday and this is what it's going to look like. You'll have more pieces than this, but I did eat some. And this is what it's going to look like on the apple side. And this is what it'll look like on the non-apple side. I always like to taste it just so that you'll know that I'm not telling you to do something that I don't eat, okay? So let me just taste a little piece. I'm a woman who loves apples. And these apples have cooked to my perfection. They have a little bit of, I don't know, what is the word, stiffness? They're not all mushy. That's what I should say, not mushy apples. That the timing is perfect if you do it between 30 and 35 minutes. And then there's some that are, because I use different apples, some that are soft. But the marriage of that soft with that bit of a hardness is perfect. And then the softness of the little sweet cake underneath. This is a very nice dessert. I have had it for breakfast. I really like this cake. The end of the video. Okay? A marriage of apples and cake makes Berta's apple upside down cake. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click on the bell. Don't forget to leave me some comments below and let me know if you're going to make it if you've already made it, you've taken the time to make it, and how you like it. I hope you'll share it with your family, and I hope you have a wonderful time doing that. You can cut that out. So, bye for now.